right, Matrixx and Rhodes show supporters. Well, in case you don't know, and frankly, I didn't know. I had no idea. I guess the Oscars are this Sunday. I mean, who knew? I mean, Jimmy Kimmel is hosting, so you can bet I'm not going to watch it. Nonetheless, as we all know, very publicly, very brave, stunning, and courageously, just a few years ago, the Oscars came out and said, oh, we are creating all of these DEI quotas in order to be considered for, Oscar consideration. Except now we have found out that it seems like the Oscars are a bunch of hypocritical liars. Imagine that. The fact is, you don't have to have anybody diverse on the screen to actually get nominated and win awards. That's not a thing. They set criteria, and there are loopholes everywhere. There's wide opening loopholes everywhere, just like Biden's border. There you go. How about that? Let's get to this. Make sure you hit subscribe, hit the like button. This is Breitbart, and I read this and was like, oh, those rotten bastards in Hollywood. Lying to everybody, finding their little way to get around it. Look at us. Look at the gold man. We're brave, stunning. We're so smart. We know exactly what we're doing, except we got ways out of this. So, the Oscars' own diversity requirements on Sunday, the 96th Academy Awards broadcast on ABC, will mark a new woke chapter in Oscars history. Keep in mind, the Oscar ratings have plummeted over the last, 5 to 6 to 7 years, and now it's just an embarrassment. I mean, it's hard to believe. The Oscars were up there with, we're talking NFL playoff game. We're talking 30 million viewers. I mean, a massive amount of people. I knew people when I worked corporate back in, say, 2005, 2006, 2007. We had people in our offices that literally got together to have these Oscar watch parties, and they'd have 10, 15, 20 people over to their house, and they're cheering on the Oscars in the same way that, I may cheer on a football game or a baseball game. Nobody cares, and nobody watches like that anymore. Nobody. For the first time, the 10 Best Picture nominees all had to meet a complex set of DEI rules that spell out quotas for race, gender, and sexuality. But even a casual glance at this year's nominees shows that no on-screen diversity is actually required. In fact, no behind-the-camera diversity is required either. A movie's entire cast and crew can be all white heterosexual men, and it could still qualify as, quote, diverse. Oh, that's hilarious. Oscar host Jimmy Kimmel couldn't have come up with a better joke. How is this possible? Loopholes galore. When the Academy announced the new quotas 4 years ago, 2024 is the first year they are taking effect. Leaders tooted their own horn, calling it, quote, a catalyst for long-lasting essential change in our industry. The reality is significantly less apocalyptic. Like so much of Hollywood, it's mostly an illusion. I love it. The Academy's DEI mandates are broken down into 4 sections. A, on-screen diversity, cast and story. B, behind-the-camera diversity, i.e. the crew. C, industry access. A studio provides internships and training for women and minorities. You see where this is going? D, audience development. Women and minorities in executive roles in studio marketing, PR, and distribution. You may be thinking to yourself, yeah, but Rhodes, we're seeing it all over entertainment. Race swapping, gender swapping, and LGBTQ force feeding. Well, that sounds awful. But you get my point, right? We're seeing it all over, except in these big, epic, historical pieces and all that kind of thing. Yeah, they can do that to a comic book movie, and they'll ruin the story over doing it, and they'll, double middle finger the actual respect towards the product and the story. But these elitists have figured out a way to get their bullshit epic films that were going to get nominated and to be quite honest with you, I have not seen Oppenheimer or heard it's really good. But most of these Oscar movies are dog shit. Most of them are. They're unwatchable. They're boring. Under the Academy rules, and it's a damn shame Sound of Freedom is not nominated. Under the Academy's rules, a movie only has to meet 2 of 4 requirements to be eligible for the Best Picture consideration. That means a movie can skip A and B if it fulfills C and D. If a studio employs an army of minority interns and some of its marketing executives are also minorities, then any movie the studio puts out is automatically, quote, diverse under Academy rules. That's good. In another loophole, the Academy considers women of any color to be a minority. As a result, a movie can fulfill A, B, C, and D using white women and still qualify as, quote, diverse. That's interesting. The same loophole applies for LGBTQ plus people. The Academy's quota appear designed to give studios ample room to fudge the results. Hollywood corrupt, even while trying to be diverse? The hell you say. The rules are both absurdly specific and absurdly broad. In the end, almost any movie could theoretically qualify as, quote, diverse. This explains why Oppenheimer is eligible for Best Picture. Christopher Nolan's 3-hour biopic of J. Robert Oppenheimer is wall-to-wall straight white males, the antithesis of the woke left's definition of diverse, thus failing Category A. The only non-white male people are Emily Blunt and Florence Pugh, whose roles are so small they feel like glorified cameos. Oppenheimer fulfills B thanks to white women serving as editor, costume designer, production designer, and set decorator. Universal, the studio behind Oppenheimer, can easily fulfill C and D, thus completing the movie's diversity requirements. It would be the biggest irony that if Oscars first year celebrating DEI mandates, Oppenheimer wins Best Picture. I just kind of, from everything I've heard, I've just kind of assumed it was going to win Best Picture. I haven't seen it. It looks really good. But, I mean, I don't know. All I know is The Iron Claw is not nominated and Sound of Freedom isn't nominated. So, you rotten bastards. Yeah, I know that much. Anyway, the point is, do we remember how big a deal it was when they rolled out these DEI requirements and Hollywood was standing up, taking a victory lap, and now we have found out, well, it's all bullshit. And guess what, Lucasfilm and Marvel? You don't have to ruin our superhero movies and our Star Wars movies any longer for the sake of diversity. Now, they put a little DEI action behind the scenes. I don't know. Get some LGBTQ folks to scrub the toilets while the movies are being filmed. There you go. Cha-ching. Got it covered. It's eligible for an Oscar, as if you would even think about making movies good enough to win an Oscar for Best Picture. Well, you might. Some of that crap is boring and like watching paint dry. Jesus. That's absolutely funny. That's hilarious. I wonder how bad the Oscar ratings will be this year. And you got TDS sufferer Jimmy Kimmel hosting it. That automatically would eliminate me from watching it. So I'll have to hear about the fallout. And I'm sure I'll probably do a ratings video on it. Or if, something wild happens, like, this time Chris Rock slaps the shit out of Will Smith. Was that the Oscars? I don't know. I can't remember. But the point is, maybe there'll be a little flippy-do, and that'll take over the news landscape. Tell me what you think. Hollywood, full of shit. Who would have thought? Peace. I'm out. Till next time.